with the prayer or a spiritual thought?
I can do the prayer.
All right.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet together and for the opportunity to learn. Pray that we can have the Spirit with us and that we can uh, be able to grow in our understanding. We love Thee, Father, and are grateful for our Savior Jesus Christ and for all that He has done for us. Pray that we can have help in bettering ourselves and knowing how that we can be a blessing to others and how we can do Thy will is our prayer in Christ's name. Amen.
And
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a.
oh, you go. I was gonna say I got a spiritual thought, but it sounds like you do. So go ahead.
No, you go first.
Oh, you go.
I have a spiritual thought.
Well, no
All
one
right.
cares about you, Jimmy.
I'll make mine quick. Hold on, let me put on my video. So I got this picture of my son, and he's on his mission, obviously in Peru, and I got it at work, and I don't know, it just hit me because like spiritually, he's about 5 months, a little over 5 months in, and he's always been in tune with the spirit, and they already made him a trainer for the for his mission, which I think is pretty incredible. And I mentioned the baptisms and stuff that he's already had, but he's just
Heck
doing
yeah.
he's just doing so well there, and he's just so happy. In that picture, just honestly, it made me cry just to see him so happy. So it's just a testament that he's happy and he's there, and the fact that he's already a trainer speaking another language, pretty phenomenal.
That's huge.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Just saying, you do not look old enough to have a son that is on a mission.
Well, thanks. We did have we got married young, but I think that's pretty typical for LDS, right? We always get young, or we always get married young.
Oh yeah. 14.
But
15.
you still
14.
don't look that old.
But yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had a girl from my high school. She had like a hard upbringing, and she tried to hurt herself a couple times and everything. And it was kind of funny because, long story short, we were just sitting in class, and out of nowhere, I just overheard her starting to talk about some worrisome things. So I was like, "Hey, how's it going? My name's Brandon. Just talked to her a little bit. Gave her my number if she ever needed help." And then she called, and she's like, "Yeah, thinking about hurting myself." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I know.
So I was like, all right, well, let's talk. And so that happened a couple of times. We became good friends. But when I got off my mission, it was like about 6 years ago now. I was like, hey, there's a plan of salvation and everything else. Gave her a pretty good lesson. I gave her a Book of Mormon, and I wrote some stuff in the front cover. 6 years later, she just sent me, I think it was yesterday or the day before, a picture through Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, look what I found. Can't believe I still have it. I was like, whoa, you read it? Dang it, come on.
Right.
I grew up in Nebraska, and there's the Winter Quarters Temple. It has a visitor center to where it just shows like, I don't know if you guys have ever been, but it's pretty awesome. There's tons of stuff about the pioneers and history, and it's really, really cool. And there's a lot of stuff for kids and stuff. She's married now with 2 kids, and so I just extended her an invite. I was like, hey, if you guys ever want a free date night, you should go check this out because it's really, really cool and it's pretty amazing. She's like, yeah, we totally will. That sounds really fun and stuff.
That's awesome.
There's chock full of missionaries there, so hopefully
That's awesome.
talk to them when they go.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love those stories. I had the same experience when I went to Nauvoo. Have you guys ever been to Nauvoo?
Yeah.
awesome. It's like one of my favorite places on earth. Just the spirit's so strong there. Anyhow, all right, so let's get into this. Put yourself in the shoes of Brentwood Associates management. You must decide whether or not you will exit Zoe's kitchen now. If so, what is the best exit option? As a group vote, what should Brentwood do with Zoe's kitchen? IPO now, sell to a strategic buyer or financial buyer, or wait and grow the business until it is more valuable before exiting? What do you guys think? IPO, sell, or wait?
In my case analysis, I put the wait and gain or wait and grow one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's. I mean, I think that's the better option. I mean, you're gonna get more out of it if you wait and you're able to grow the business.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. The reason why I like the wait and grow is because with the IPO and you're selling it, you're losing all of the stuff that you work so hard for. Basically, you're losing your business. And if you go IPO, now you got investors that you gotta satisfy, right? You sell this strategic buyer, you kind of lose everything that you worked for. You wait and grow; it's still your business. Yes, you're a little bit more vulnerable if something happens, but still yours. So,
Yeah,
my thought
I mean,
on
there are benefits. I mean, if you do the IPO, then I mean, there's a chance you can get bigger a lot quicker, and do that. But yeah, again, like you have investors, it's just a little bit more risky. Like if things don't go well, so I mean, I wouldn't want to sell now just because you could get more out of it. So the only way that I'd ever sell the business then is if you're not wanting to do it anymore. If that's the case, then yeah, go ahead and sell it. But you can stick with it, just grow the business and make it work, and then sell it later, and you'll get a lot more for it.
It's so true. I was just thinking it because what was it, one of the advisors or something in the reading? If you have the opportunity to wait and grow, and there's no like warning signs or anything, then why not?
Yeah.
Like there's no big rush to get an IPO really fast or anything. If it's growing good and financially you're set and everything, then sometimes it's better just to wait.
all right. As a group, allow each individual to state his or her position. If you agree at the outset, take a counter position and explore why you should consider those other options. And the options are: why does Brentwood want to exit now? What are some reasons for holding now? What can go right under each scenario? What can go wrong? So, why does Brentwood want to exit now?
I mean, I kind of mentioned this a little bit, but like if he's to the point where he's done and doesn't want to be in the business, then definitely I think exiting is always a good idea, because I feel like sometimes business owners like try to stay in the business because they're like, oh, I want to make more money, and they wait. But if they're unhappy and don't love what they're doing, then it's going to reflect in the business. And so I'm always about like if you're not happy, that's why you're considering like selling, and sell. The other reasons why to sell early is like if I mean you never know kind of what the economy is going to bring, and like with kind of the economy being a little bit up, if the economy falls, then you're gonna suffer in the business. And so selling now is kind of gives you that guarantee of like, okay, well, just in case, like I am going about to get something now versus the risk of waiting and maybe the economy turns and it affects your business. So I think that those are kind of, I think for me, those would be the biggest reasons to sell now.
Yeah, I think another one was I think it was like typical, like 6 years was like max, and I think they were kind of running up on that, depending on just their timeline for investing. So that I think that was, maybe another one. They had that competitor that went IPO, and it was up like 43% or something like that. And I think they were thinking, oh, okay, now we got some competition. It may not be as good for us, so we might want to.
Yeah, and another reason why they might want to exit now and go IPO as well was for, I think Brentwood had like one other successful IPO. So just as a company, it would make them look really, really good. So it'd be better more for the company than the actual startup to be like, oh, well, we grew Zoe's Kitchen and then we made it a successful IPO.
Yeah, I agree. What about some reasons for holding now? I think we mentioned those earlier.
Yeah.
Already, like why we want to wait and grow. We already answered that, I think, in question 3. So the next one is what can go right under each scenario, what can go wrong. That one. Unless you guys want to add to anything on that one.
No, I think we kind of covered both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think kind of just also like what can go wrong under the IPO. Like if you're looking at Exhibit 1, like the IPO isn't very high right now as far as like activity in the United States is pretty low. So, I mean, I would want to wait because it looks like it's kind of going to be like the trend to me looks like it's going to be swinging up because it's grown pretty steadily from 2008 to 12, but in comparison to the other years, it's still like really low. So I would wait.
All right. The next one talks about the worth of Zoe's Kitchen. How much is it worth, or how much is Zoe's worth under each exit option we discussed? And how do we come up with those answers as a group? Come up with a consensus as to what Zoe's, and then there's a sub kind of question that kind of leads. What differences do you observe in the valuations based on who buys a company? Does this make any sense? Discuss as a group. So the first one is, what's Zoe's worth under each option? Did I? Look into.
What's that?
I'm looking at their cash flows.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
looking
what
at.
I'm trying to do that too right now.
Total revenue 116. Negative cash flow. I would have thought they were worth. They have more revenue.
Yeah, their net income is in the negative.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute.
I don't think they're. I mean, the revenue is going to be. I mean, I know there's a lot of businesses that sometimes are still in the red, but they're growing in the red more and more. So I was kind of just looking at revenue, but when I look at net income, I'm like, maybe they should sell now because they're they're getting more and more in the negative, and so if they can't fix that, like if that's something that they're having a hard time fixing, then they might want to sell now.
Yeah, their revenue's growing. It looks like they just need to Kaizen a little bit. Or sorry, I say Kaizen. It's a Toyota word, but basically improve their operations.
Yeah, their costs are really expensive.
Okay, what? The thing just kicked me off.
What's that?
It just kicked me off, and I started talking, and no one was answering. I was like, wait a second.
You got kicked off. That's because
Yeah.
you didn't like your answer. I kicked you off.
Yeah.
No, we were talking about how they keep going into they're going into the red. Their revenues are up, but compared to 2011 versus 2013, maybe that has to do with
I think the big part of it is their margins are really bad. Like in comparison to the other companies, they're running at a 9 point, like this last year, they ran at a 9.4% margin, and like in comparison to most of the other ones, which are like at least a 12 to if not like a 15. So it's a big problem that they have.
What do you think they're worth? Like, I guess in 2013, they're
I mean, the only way that you're going to be able to really do that is through their revenue. I mean, they've grown their revenue constantly from 50 to 116. I might put them worth. I wouldn't put them worth more than like a 3 times multiple of their revenue. So, like, 360,000 maybe.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is in 2010, 2011, and 2012, look at their revenue. And then I don't know, 50, 79, might be worth it. Noodles, though, Noodles is like, I've never even heard of Noodles, and they're like much bigger. So, yeah, we could go with like the 3. But I wouldn't go any more than that because.
Well, I don't think any investor would. I don't think anybody would pay more than a 3 times multiple for a food business, especially one that's not in the positive yet.
Yeah.
Would you change it? Would you change the worth depending on if it was an IPO versus a financial buyer, or would it kind of be around the same?
Change the worth a little bit. Let me 1 second. Go back.
I don't know. With IPOs, they tend to like keep up real quick, so it might be worth a little bit more with the IPO.
Could bump them into the positive, so
possibly a little bit more than that, but okay. So on our valuations, what did we observe based on who buys the company? Does it make any sense? I think from the IPO standpoint, Jimmy, I think you mentioned it may bump it up a little bit, but that's just because of the frenzy of when you go IPO, IPO, you know how that goes. You hear IPO, everybody jumps on it. it's more of a, frenzy versus a buyer. There's going to be back and forth negotiations. There's going to be, taught a lot more of that. And sometimes those negotiations are good. Sometimes they may not get you as much.
Yeah. Well, and I just look at like Noodles and Company, which their IPO, like gross IPO proceeds are like 96.4. And so like I don't know, I just like it seemed to be a good move for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean like their percent, I mean having that little bit more money could help them with their like cutting their costs down and being able to make them a little bit more profitable. So after going, I'd be super hesitant to even do a 3 times multiple with the Zoe's one, but like if you're looking at like a Noodles and they went IPO, their their revenues like twice the amount, and their net income is like they're in the positive, and so maybe boosting that revenue will help them be in the positive, and so maybe they could get more like a maybe double the amount that they could get for the company if they went IPO.
Yeah.
So I looking at all the data now, I'm kind of leaning towards the IPO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's risks involved with it, but I feel like I feel like the potential reward could outweigh the risks from going public.
Yeah, that's some good points. The last one is: would you would you sell to a financial buyer instead of IPO?
If they give me the right price.
Let's talk price.
Exactly. I think it really depends. I mean, you're does the risk? Does the reward outweigh the risk? I mean,
Yeah.
as we look at it, the potential to going public could make you worth a significant amount more money, like possibly like doubling or tripling the amount that you're worth right now. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but there's a risk associated with it. So, I mean, if they gave you the right offer, if they could see the potential of your company and gave you an evaluation based on your potential and not where you're at right now, then yeah, I would for sure take the offer.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'd be, I don't know. It just kind of, with an IPO, like it said in the case that they're a little bit more time consuming and they're a little bit more expensive. And so if you could have a financial buyer to do that negotiation and that price, but in a shorter time frame, because if the financials are looking like kind of how they're been consistent where they're in the red and everything, I think I agree with you guys with going on the financial investor or a buyer. That's so loud.
What is that?
It's the kitchen.
My ears. You're invading my ear space.
Ha! No, but the financial buyer at the right price, if he could do it quickly instead of like the lengthy process and more expensive.
For sure.
And even if the buyer's price was a little less than what I wanted, if it'd still be within terms of saving money on the IPO,
Yeah.
then it would work.
Agreed.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, all right. Well, that's all the questions. So I think we're good.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks. I'll send you guys a link, and until next time.
Awesome.
Jeez, that'll be awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll see you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.